Economics might sound like a boring subject, but it's actually pretty interesting. It's not just about numbers and charts, it's about understanding the world around us. It's about how people make choices every day. From the moment we wake up to the time we go to bed, we're constantly making decisions that involve economics. We all want stuff, right? Whether it's the latest gadget, a new outfit, or a dream vacation, our desires drive our choices. Fancy cars, cool clothes, delicious food, these are just a few examples of the things we might want. But here's the catch. We don't have unlimited money. Our resources are limited, and that's where economics comes into play. That means we've got to make choices. We have to decide what's most important to us and how to allocate our limited resources. Economics is all about how we make those choices, from what we buy at the store to how our government spends money. It's about prioritizing and making trade-offs. Economics is about more than just money, though. It's about people and their interactions and how they influence the economy. It's about understanding how the world works. From local communities to global markets, economics helps us make sense of it all. It's about why some people are rich and some are poor. It's about the distribution of wealth and resources. It's about why we have jobs and how those jobs are created. It's about the labor market and employment opportunities. Economics is about understanding the forces that shape our lives. It's about the policies and decisions that impact our daily existence. So, next time you hear someone talking about economics, don't tune out. It's a subject that affects us all, in ways big and small. It's not just about numbers and graphs. It's about understanding the bigger picture and how everything is interconnected. It's about real people making real choices in the real world. It's about the decisions we make every day and how they impact our lives. And that's something we can all relate to. Economics is a part of our everyday lives, and understanding it can help us make better decisions. Think economics is a new thing? Think again. Economics has been a part of human civilization for thousands of years, shaping societies and influencing decisions long before modern theories were developed. People have been thinking about economics for centuries. From the earliest days of human history, individuals and communities have grappled with questions about resources, trade, and value. Way back in ancient Greece, philosophers like Plato and Aristotle were already talking about stuff like trade, specialization, and the role of government. They debated how societies should organize themselves and how wealth should be distributed. Even the Bible has a lot to say about economics, from the importance of hard work to the dangers of greed. Stories and parables often carried economic lessons, teaching people about fairness, justice, and the moral implications of wealth. The ancient world might not have had fancy economic models, but they definitely understood the basics of how people and societies make decisions about resources. Markets, trade routes, and barter systems were all part of daily life. These early thinkers laid the groundwork for the study of economics. They observed, recorded, and taught the principles that would later evolve into the complex theories we study today. They recognized that resources are limited and that people have to make choices about how to use them. This fundamental concept of scarcity is still central to economic thought. They also realized that these choices have consequences both for individuals and for society as a whole. Decisions about resource allocation, trade, and labor could lead to prosperity or hardship, peace or conflict. So next time you think about economics, remember that it's not just a modern science. It's a field with deep roots, stretching back to the dawn of civilization, influencing how we live and interact even today. Fast forward to the 18th century. Enter Adam Smith, the big kahuna of economics. Smith was a Scottish philosopher who wrote a book called The Wealth of Nations. Kind of a big deal. This book is basically the Bible of capitalism, seriously. Smith's big idea was that individuals acting in their own self-interest could actually create a more prosperous society as a whole. He called this the invisible hand of the market. Basically, when everyone's trying to make a buck, it magically leads to better stuff and lower prices for everyone. Smith's ideas were revolutionary. He argued that government should stay out of the economy as much as possible. He believed that the free market, guided by the invisible hand, was the best way to allocate resources and create wealth. Now let's talk about Karl Marx. He was a 19th century German philosopher and economist who wasn't too keen on capitalism. In fact, he thought it was a recipe for disaster. Marx believed that capitalism was inherently unfair. He argued that it created two classes: the capitalists, who owned the means of production, like factories and land, and the workers, who had nothing but their labor to sell. Marx believed that this system would inevitably lead to conflict and revolution. Marx's ideas had a huge impact on the world, inspiring socialist and communist movements around the globe. While his predictions about the downfall of capitalism haven't exactly come true, yet, his critiques of inequality and exploitation continue to resonate today. Section 5. Keynes to the rescue. Fast forward again to the 20th century, a time of rapid change and significant challenges. The world's in a bit of a pickle with the Great Depression, a severe worldwide economic downturn that began in 1929 and lasted for about a decade. People are out of work, businesses are closing, and nobody's spending any money. The economic engine has ground to a halt, and despair is widespread. Enter John Maynard Keynes, a British economist with a plan. Keynes was not just any economist, he was a visionary thinker who challenged the conventional wisdom of his time. Keynes argued that the government needed to step in and do something. He believed that during times of economic downturn, it was essential for the government to take an active role in stabilizing the economy. He believed that the government could boost the economy by spending money on things like infrastructure projects and social programs. These projects would not only improve public facilities but also create jobs. This spending would create jobs, put money in people's pockets, and get the economy moving again. By increasing demand, businesses would start to thrive, and the cycle of prosperity would resume. Keynesian economics became super influential, especially after World War II. The post-war period required massive rebuilding efforts, and Keynesian policies provided a roadmap for recovery. Governments around the world started using Keynesian policies to manage their economies. They implemented social programs, invested in public works, and took measures to ensure economic stability. And guess what? It kind of worked. The application of Keynesian principles led to significant economic recovery and growth. Keynesian economics is credited with helping to create the long period of economic growth and stability that followed the war. This era, often referred to as the golden age of capitalism, saw unprecedented prosperity and improvement in living standards for many. Section 6. Microeconomics, zooming in. So far, we've been talking about economics in a big picture kind of way, but economics also looks at the small stuff, how individuals and businesses make decisions. That's where microeconomics comes in. Microeconomics is all about choices. How do you decide what to buy when you go to the store? How does a business decide what to produce and how much to charge? Microeconomics tries to explain these decisions. One of the key concepts in microeconomics is the idea of supply and demand. We'll get into that more in the next section. But for now, just know that microeconomics is all about the little things that add up to the big picture. Section 7, supply and demand, it's everywhere. Okay, time for a quick econ lesson. Remember supply and demand? It's like the peanut butter and jelly of economics, they just go together. Supply is how much of something people are willing to sell at a certain price. Demand is how much people are willing to buy at a certain price. The price where those two things meet, that's the market price. Think about it like this. If there are a ton of iPhones on the market, the price will probably go down because people are trying to get rid of them. But if there are only a few, the price will go up because everyone wants one. That's supply and demand in action. Section 11. Girl Power, Women in Economics. For a long time, economics was a bit of a boys' club, but thankfully, things are changing. More and more women are entering the field of economics and making their mark. Women like Elinor Ostrom, the first woman to win the Nobel Prize in Economics, and Janet Yellen, the first woman to serve as chair of the Federal Reserve, are paving the way for future generations of female economists. There's still a long way to go to achieve gender equality in economics. But with more and more women entering the field and breaking down barriers, the future looks bright.